Hey, this is Andrew Brown. In this video, we're going to take a look at Azure AI Services. So I want you to go to the top here and type in Azure AI Services. Look for the one with this logo. There's this older one, which is confusing. This is called Cognitive Services, and then they changed the logo to this. And then they made a new portal, even though it's kind of the same thing. But the key difference with the old one and this one is that you can now create an Azure AI service, which allows you to have they say a single API, but really just a single place to manage a bunch of these APIs. And when we were setting up our environment, I may have forgotten to delete the translator here. So if you have yet to do that, you can delete that. I don't believe this costs anything keeping it around, so it's not a big deal. But just in case you forget, we'll go ahead and delete that. I don't want to delete the resource group that was there with it because I want to reuse it. So we're going to make our way over to Azure AI Services. You can see I already have one because I spun up Azure AI Studio, which you'll get indirectly. But I just want to show you how to work with it and isolate because that might be something you might need to do. So we say create Azure AI Services. I'm going to drop this down. I'm going to go to AI Managed Workloads. And I'm going to do everything in West US, even though I'm on the east of North America. And this will just be Azure AI Services. I'll just put some random numbers here. We'll drop this down. We'll go with standard and we'll hit next. And we have some options here. I'm going to go with all networks. But depending on what you do, you'll change that. We'll go ahead and hit review and create. And I'm going to create Azure AI Services. Okay, so that is going to proceed to create. I'll be back here in just a moment. All right, so that's now created. We're going to go ahead and go to that resource. And so you can see we have go to Azure AI Studio. That's not something I want to do right now. Again, I just want to work programmatically with Azure AI Services. And I think that if even we went to this, it would want to then spin up a hub because it has to have a hub for this to work. And I mean, I'll just click to find out. And interestingly enough, it is opening this up, but I never created a hub. So that's really interesting. So maybe we can open this and use it in a limited context without a hub, but usually Azure AI Studio, if you go here, they want you to have a hub, right? We have hubs and then we have projects, but it seems like we can just directly use the API. That's really interesting. So, Azure's just confusing. And I think there's just like certain ways that you want to go about using it. And so if you want to use Azure AI Studio, don't do it this way. Make sure you create a hub, create a project. But again, we are focused on just programmatically working with this. So down below, you're going to see we have keys and endpoints. And so down here, you can see all the different endpoints that we may want to target. And then we have our keys. So obviously, we worked with Translator when we first set things up. And so I guess that's something that we can test this with. So what I want to do is go back over to here, and I'm going to go ahead and start this back up. All right, and so all I really want to do is bring in this key and see if it works with our existing code here, and that way we'll know that we can work with Azure AI Services, okay? So just wait for this environment to spin up. All right, so now our environment is running. I'm going to go ahead and start the Jupyter Labs notebook here. So this shouldn't take too long. And we'll just say, sure, build. That's fine. And we already have a folder called AI here in Translator. If you do not have this, you can go to the Azure Examples, to Translator here, and you can upload simple because that's the one we are testing this against right here. So you can just download this file however you need to download it. And then you can bring it into here. You can upload files right here. So if you click that, that allows you to bring in it allows you to upload files. So I'm going to double click into here. And I'm going to go with simple because failed for whatever reason. And it actually has my API key saved, which is very frustrating. Actually, no, that's not a problem, okay? Because this is the version that I have from before that was on this compute. And actually over here, if I go into here, it doesn't have a key. All right, so not really a problem. And also at the start of this video, I actually ended up deleting the the service, so that key doesn't exist anymore. So it's not really a concern. But what I want to do is go back over to here. We do not, I thought I had Azure AI Studio open, but we don't. That's ML Studio. If we go down here, we have a couple of keys. I'm going to go ahead and copy this key. I'm going to go over to here. I'm going to paste this in to here. I just want to paste it in place. Copy that again. Right-click, paste. And the thing I want to check is the endpoint. Is the endpoint the same? It is the same. Excellent. So we're going to go over to here. We're going to press run. And we're going to hit the translate path. We're going to go ahead and hit that. And so this should just work. So it is thinking. It's thinking really hard here. And now it has an issue. So the UUID is not defined. The UUID is not defined. So that's really interesting because we haven't changed anything here. But it is looking for a UUID. It almost feels like some of our code is missing here. So I'm going to go back over to this one and take a look. UUID. So maybe I might have lost some of this code. So what I'm going to do, I feel like I might have introduced a bug or a problem here. But I'm going to go back over to Azure AI Services. I'm going to go over to Translator. And the only way I'm going to be able to get that code is actually to create a new one. So I'm going to create a new one here, just temporarily. Make under this here, just say West US. My translator. I'm just doing this to get the code because clearly I'm missing some code here. We'll hit review and create. And we'll create this and we'll give it a moment, okay? All right, so what we'll do is we'll go to this resource now. And all I want is the code because clearly I'm missing some code here. And if we go to our sample code to Python, yeah, so we have UUID up here. Is it just missing? UUID is there. Hold on, dismiss. Weird. So, I keep thinking that there's like something in my code that's missing, but not really. Because all it's doing is generating a UUID. So I'm going to go back over to here for a second. We'll run this again. And then this one. And maybe what we could do, just to kind of mitigate this problem. Bring this up here. Put this here. We'll say my UUID. And then I'm just going to grab this. And then we'll just say my UUID. Because that will rule out that problem, right? So we do that. And so that generated a UUID. Should be no problem now. And there we go. Again, I'm not sure why that was a problem because clearly there was nothing here that we were missing. But again, when you're working with Azure, you have to have patience. You have to say your affirmations so that you can get through it. I'm going to delete this text translation services. Notice that it's still called cognitive services because it's very hard for them to change that underneath. But we'll go back over to here. And so we have successfully worked with the API using the Azure API, the Azure API services. And that's going to make things a lot easier for us. Okay. There are other things we need to do with the Azure AI service, but programmatically, nothing right now. I'm going to leave this around because we're going to be doing a lot more other things with Azure AI services, working with some of these things here. So I just want to leave it around for now, okay? And this one is fine. We'll just go ahead and if you need to, you can shut down this. I'm going to shut down this for now. Stop. And we will call this done for now, okay? See you in the next one. Ciao.